Monsieur le Premier ministre, cher Jean-Marc Ayrault, Mesdames et Messieurs les députés, Monsieur l'ambassadeur du Pakistan, Monsieur l'ambassadeur de la République d'Irlande auprès de l'OCDE et de l'UNESCO, Mesdames et Messieurs les jurés, Mesdames, Messieurs, bienvenue à toutes et à tous, ici à l'Hôtel de la Cé, à la présidence de l'Assemblée nationale. En ce haut lieu de l'éloquence qu'est parfois seulement, l'Assemblée nationale, quoi de plus naturel que d'organiser ici ces joutes oratoires. C'est donc évidemment avec grand plaisir que je vous accueille en ces lieux pour cette dernière manche du tournoi d'éloquence organisé par la French Debating Association. Même si c'est pour moi la première fois que j'ouvre cette manifestation, je sais que ce rendez-vous tend à devenir un rite annuel au Palais Bourbon et je m'en félicite. Tout comme le ministre de l'Éducation nationale, je crois en la force de l'éloquence. Sa force dans les débats parlementaires et politiques, bien sûr, mais aussi et surtout sa force éducative, car l'éloquence nous grandit et nous aide à avancer dans la société. L'éloquence, au sens strict, c'est l'art de bien parler. Mais nous savons qu'elle est bien davantage. C'est aussi l'art de convaincre, autrement dit de faire passer ses idées, et, plus important encore, de les faire partager, voire, dans le meilleur des cas, approuver par ceux qui vous écoutent. C'est pourquoi l'éloquence est si foncièrement politique. Elle a une force parce qu'elle est une force. Nous l'avons vu pendant le grand débat qui est en cours, tant de Français qui se sentaient négligés, oubliés, voire assignés à résidence, se sont sentis pousser des ailes quand ils ont eu la parole et qu'ils ont dû mobiliser toutes les ressources de la rhétorique pour se faire entendre. C'est pourquoi il est bon d'enseigner l'éloquence dès l'école pour renforcer l'égalité des chances, pour donner à tous ce droit à la parole qui est constitutif de l'expression démocratique. Ce choix de l'éloquence, vous l'avez fait de manière pionnière depuis plusieurs années déjà, mais avec cette exigence supplémentaire de s'exprimer en anglais. Il y a plus d'un siècle, l'humoriste Tristan Bernard faisait ce constat à la fois désabusé et amusé. Les Français croient qu'ils parlent bien le français parce qu'ils ne parlent aucune langue étrangère. La manifestation de ce soir nous montre que les temps changent, et heureusement. Bien sûr, je suis un amoureux de la langue française et un défenseur de la francophonie, mais sans exclusive. Mon anglais, je l'avoue, est sans doute très perfectible et mériterait d'être largement perfectionné. Quoiqu'infiniment moins bien que Jean-Marc Ayrault, je parviens à m'exprimer suffisamment clairement en allemand pour échanger avec mes collègues d'outre-Rhin et former avec eux, d'ailleurs, une assemblée franco-allemande pour la première fois dans l'histoire. Et quand je considère le désastre annoncé du Brexit, je me dis qu'une chambre des communes franco-britannique aurait peut-être été utile. Mais on ne refait pas l'histoire. Tous les Européens, en tout cas, devraient méditer cette belle phrase de Charlemagne, « Avoir une autre langue, c'est posséder une deuxième âme ». Dans l'hémicycle, il est vrai, la langue française est de rigueur. C'est ce qui contraignit jadis au silence le député James McAlara's, un authentique Irlandais venu secourir la France durant la guerre de 1870, à la tête d'un bataillon de volontaires recrutés sur son île natale. Naturalisé sur le champ de bataille, il fut ensuite élu député français en 1889 à Sisteron, mais il n'osa jamais, hélas, monter à la tribune. Ils sont trop discrets, ces Irlandais. Et c'est en ayant conscience de contrarier quelque peu sa modestie légendaire que je voudrais saluer celui qui est au fond l'âme de ce concours d'éloquence, Declan McCavanagh, bien connu à l'Assemblée. qui est bien connu à l'Assemblée nationale par tous ceux qui cherchent à améliorer leur anglais. Autant vous dire que le chantier est vaste. Alors, nous le savons bien, et je m'adresse à lui, vous le comprendrez. Nous savons bien que ces derniers mois n'ont pas été forcément très faciles pour lui, et pourtant, il a fait tous les efforts possibles pour que ce concours, ici, ait lieu comme prévu. Et donc, avant de céder la parole aux jeunes tribuns, auxquels je souhaite évidemment bonne chance, et qui vont non pas s'affronter, mais qui, avec plaisir, vont se confronter, eh bien, c'est lui que je vous demande d'applaudir en vous souhaitant une bonne soirée. Vous avez une grande popularité. Ça, alors. Nous ne lui avions pas dit que ce soir c'était son meeting.
Moments of emotion. Our presence here this evening is due indeed to the current resident of this sumptuous building, to the man who responded positively to our request for a venue for the final, a man who is representative of the openness and the transparency that is this forum of all citizens, the French National Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, now, on behalf of the FDA and of all of you here present this evening, I would like to thank, in the warmest of fashions, the President of the French National Assembly, Mr. Richard Ferrand, for granting us the opportunity to avail of this magnificent arena for our feast of rhetoric. Monsieur le Président. This evening is one of those big ones, those great ones, those grandiose ones, the ones you will never, ever, ever forget. The ones you will say to your kids, hey guys, I was there when France won the World Soccer Cup in 2018. I was there when Ireland won the Rugby World Cup in 2019. I was there when Sciences Po or Polytechnique won the FDA final. But more than that, I was there when the Hôtel de l'Assé, the Galerie des Fêtes, was witness to an extraordinary event. The evening when Declan McCavanagh, president of the FDA, kept his mouth closed. Thank you for your agreement. But give me 10 more seconds. Many people have dreams, apparently. But I have had one recurring dream for the last 25 years. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, since the French Debating Association, the first final of our FDA here at the National Assembly, 25 years ago, and that dream has to be the bellboy at the final. And you know what? Tonight, I'm going to live that dream. I would now like to hand over control of this evening's proceedings to last year's Co-Sec General of the Association and this year's Veterans Officer, Mr. Francesco Donini Ferretti, the only member of the FDA with a more bellowing voice than me, and I shall take my place at his side. Francesco, the floor is yours.
Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le Premier ministre, Your Excellencies, Monsieur le Secrétaire Général, dearest member of the jury, and dearest President of the Association. I loathe to contradict you, but this is not really the evening when Declan McKavanagh will have kept his mouth shut. For far from being silent, you will be speaking through me, your humble surrogate. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, 50% of my speech will be directly plagiarized from the President's. Actually, I'm kidding. 100% of my speech will be directly plagiarized from the President's. Quiet down, children. If you are good boys and girls and turn off your mobile phones, I will sing you a little nursery rhyme. This is the house that Jack built. This is the judge, all shaven and shorn, that married the man, all tattered and torn, that kissed the maiden, all forlorn, that killed the rat, that ate the malt, that lay in the house that Jack built. This ancient cumulative tale does not tell the story of Jack's house, or indeed of Jack, but shows how this house is linked to other people and to their stories. Ladies and gentlemen, what stories, what anecdotes do we find in this house? This house, gathered here for the 26th final of the FDA tournament. This house, rooting for either opposition or the government. In this house, we find expressed the individuality and character of 10 different speakers with 10 different opinions on a single motion, who come together for the love of the word, the love of public speaking, the love of rhetoric, and the love of debate. In this house, we find a forum of respect and exchange of ideas, of civility in a world where people much too often resort to shouting at each other from opposing ends of a roundabout, despite the obvious geometrical challenge which that poses. In this house, we find an assembly in which all are welcome. By Jove, we even accept engineers and political scientists. Because through debating, these students and their varying backgrounds enrich themselves and the great family that is the FDA. Preconceived notions and stereotypes are shattered, and everlasting friendships are forged. In this house, we find joy. Joy in James Joyce's observation that in the particular lies the universal. For the openness of mind obtained through debating, the personal growth, the people met along the way, these are the things that will stay with you and far outlive the title of FDA champion. In each particular debate lies a universal spirit. So what do we find? We find a home here in this house that the FDA built. And please join me in thanking once again Declan McKavanagh, its glorious architect. The two teams present this evening have each won through 3 qualifying rounds to get to this final. 3 daunting and terrifying rounds through which they had to sweat and struggle to ensure their advance. The winner tonight will truly be a debating champion. Now, these teams are no strangers to each other. Tonight, we witness a battle between 2 of the founding members of the FDA. Their rivalry echoes through eternity and dates back to the dark days in which the Spice Girls, tank tops, and Teletubbies were unleashed upon the nation and the world. Indeed, both of these teams first faced off in the final of 1997. I speak, of course, of École Polytechnique and Sciences Po Paris. Proposing the motion tonight, Polytechnique will be led by their Prime Minister, Anatole Chouard. He will be led by Randy Coty, followed by Marine Decuper, Romain Cosson, and the government whip, Laura Kolcheva. Opposing tonight's motion, Sciences Po Paris will be headed by their shadow Prime Minister, Roman Thiébaut. Followed by Constance Bonin. Marcus Fischer. Élise Kaby. And to conclude the debate, the opposition whip, Gwamaka Kifukwe. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please extend the warmest welcome to the people who will have the particularly difficult task of choosing a winning team and a best speaker for this evening, the very distinguished members of our learned jury. Year after year, the FDA prides itself on the presence of ever more impressive juries, and tonight is no exception, as this particular group of individuals is without a doubt the most impressive ever to grace an FDA final. Good luck for next year. Each member of the jury comes from a different field, and each is distinguished by his or her excellence in that field. I believe that we've never had a more apt and appropriate president of the jury. This man is not only a patron of the FDA, but also quite a regular in this magnificent hall. Indeed, he presided the Groupe Socialiste à l'Assemblée nationale for 15 years before becoming Prime Minister of the French Republic. If you've ever watched La Chaîne Parlementaire on a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, you will know just how much he has debated in the course of his prestigious career. In 2017, as Ministre des Affaires étrangères, he granted us the honor of hosting not one, but 2 FDA semi-finals at the Quai d'Orsay, for which we are forever grateful. Primus inter pares, he will certainly not be lazing around tonight. A little Franco-Latin pun for you, ladies and gentlemen. It is my immense pleasure and honor to welcome the President of the Fondation pour la Mémoire de l'Esclavage, Monsieur le Premier Ministre, Jean-Marc Ayrault. For those of you who've been with us for some years, you will know that it is a time-honored tradition for the FDA semi-finals to take place in embassies across Paris. We have been fortunate enough to debate in the British, the Irish, the Mexican, the American, and Australian embassies. And we do so not for the tenet of the lavishness of their receptions, but because they represent a tenet of our association, fostering exchange by continuously looking outward. This year, our second jury member took us further than ever before and opened the arms of the Asian continent to an FDA semi-final. That's 5 out of 7 continents, ladies and gentlemen. Fingers crossed, Antarctica 2020. This demonstrates the incredible breadth of the English language, which we celebrate here tonight. Please extend the warmest welcome to our second jury member, His Excellency Moinul Haq, Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Doubling down on the Asian continent, our next jury member's name was incredibly unfortunately left out of the brochure due to a last-minute mishap. We humbly ask for his forgiveness and ask you to give him an even greater welcome. His Excellency Budi Atauda, Ambassador of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka to France, Portugal and Spain, and Permanent Delegate of Sri Lanka to UNESCO and to the UNWTO. Our next jury member is also a patron of the FDA. After a long and distinguished career at the Department of Public Service, the Department of Finance, and the Department of Public Expenditure, this jury member was able to realize a lifelong dream, presiding the jury of the FDA's 25th annual tournament. It is an enormous pleasure to welcome back His Excellency Dermot Noland, Irish Ambassador to the OECD and to UNESCO. Our fifth jury member is yet again a friend of the FDA, because we're just that popular. A senior United States diplomat, this jury member is an expert in policy. The debaters had better checked their facts for tonight. For the past 4 years, he has taken on the monumental task of ensuring the sustainability of energy and, in turn, of our very future. Please welcome Mr. Paul Simons, Deputy Executive Director of the International Energy Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight in the Galerie des Fêtes de l'Hôtel de la Sey. But behind you stand the doors which lead to the Palais Bourbon and its chamber. A chamber in which decisions are taken every day which directly affect how this country is governed. The well-oiled machine which allows this process to take place is an extremely long and glorious history. And we are particularly pleased to welcome this evening a person who is at the heart of the functioning of this mechanism and the operation of its structure. Much of its work goes on behind the scenes, but tonight he has graciously accepted to come out into the open and be once more a member of the jury. Monsieur le Secrétaire Général de la Questure, Christophe Palaise. Now, the Assemblée Nationale is very well represented in our jury this evening by the next member of our illustrious panel. I can only hope that his lightning ascension in the ranks of this institution and the fact that we are roughly the same age says much more about his qualities than it does about mine. A qualified lawyer, he will know how to pierce any fallacies in our debaters' arguments tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to welcome Monsieur Méziane Reski, chef de cabinet de la présidence de l'Assemblée nationale. Debating is an art which calls upon many talents: argumentation, communication, and culture, to name a few. And I, for one, can think of no taller monument to culture than the pan-European competition known as Eurovision, in which our next jury member represented Ireland in 1985. She is, of course, much more than a Eurovision finalist. Singer turned writer, she has recently released a book which retraces her steps with a breadth of optimism and humor. This amazing autobiography is a testament to how strength of character can overcome adversity. Author of On ne voit bien qu'avec le cœur, Ms. Maria Doyle. The final member of the jury has a very special place in our hearts indeed. She was, and since we live in France, still is, the Secretary General of the FDA. She held this position for 2 years, running in 2014 and 2015, and added her own immutable touch to make the FDA what it is today. We are delighted to welcome her back this evening to occupy a position she most thoroughly deserves, Ms. Alice Cook. In these days of globalization, the FDA has had to adapt itself to new requirements, new demands, and thus call upon exceptional people to deal with exceptional circumstances. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank two of those exceptional people, the pillars of this evening's debate, for they are the two people without whom none of us would be present, our Secretaries General. They are deserving of a very special medal, the Medal of the French National Assembly. Most of you present have little idea of the labor, the stress, the toil that goes into making this event happen. The students, the judges, the teams, and the coaches have an inkling of the work that goes on behind the scenes to allow our tournament to take place. And I have no doubt whatsoever that you will join me in giving them a very special round of applause for the hours, the days, and the months that they have devoted to the success of this association. Throughout the history of the FDA, Secretaries General have always been from the same school and often been couples, ladies and gentlemen, which can lead to some pretty nasty fights. But not this year. Our Secretaries General are neither from the same institution, nor a couple, as one of them keeps on reminding us, debate after debate. A mathematician and a lawyer, a man and a woman, the yin and the yang that bring harmony to our happy little family, most of all my friends Shanika de Silva and Christophe Zang. Our presence here is no coincidence, for if it is fitting that this feast of eloquence should take place in France's cradle of oratory, the Assemblée Nationale, this is even more the case, given that the spectacle of rhetoric you are about to witness is based on the rules and procedures of the Assemblée's sister house in the United Kingdom, the House of Commons. For those of you yet unfamiliar with our format, allow me to briefly run through the main rules of what has now become known as Paris 5 style of debating. 5 speakers from the government will confront 5 speakers from the opposition. Each speaker will be granted 6 minutes under the direct scrutiny of our beloved bellboy. And what a bellboy, ladies and gentlemen. President of the FDA, member of the most excellent order of the British Empire, the illustrious, the notorious, the one and only Mr. Declan McKavanagh. During his or her speech, a speaker may be interrupted by a member of the other team, either by a point of information or a point of order. Points of information must be questions and are asked by standing up and placing one's hand upon one's head or one's hand outstretched. The speaker may or may not accept the point, but is obliged to take at least one, and it is recommended that he or she takes two. If a point is accepted, it is included in the timing of the speech. Points of order, on the other hand, are made directly to me and regard the running of the debate and its procedure. They are made to ensure that both the rules and the underlying principles of courtesy and decency are respected. The first and last minute of each speech are protected, and no points of information will be admissible during this time. The end of the first minute and the beginning of the 6th minute will be kindly signaled by our bellsident with the following sound. At the end of the 6 minutes which are allocated to each speaker, you will hear the sound. At this point, the speaker will be expected to conclude his or her speech as quickly as possible. If he or she does not do so within 15 seconds, the bellsident has been instructed to be as rude as he can until he or she stops speaking. And trust me, dear debaters, you would be wise not to wake the ire of an Irishman. To guide them in their impossible task of selecting the 2019 FDA champion, the jury has been kindly asked to judge the speakers and the respective teams on the 5 following criteria. Argumentation, which concerns the content of a speech. Form, or how said speech is put forth. Teamwork, which pertains to a team's cohesion and strategy. Engagement, or how well a team interacts with their opponents to debate with them and not next to them. And lastly, star quality, that particular charisma which we enjoy so much and turns a debater into an orator. As you will have no doubt noticed, a speaker's level of English is not a criterion. This is a debate in English, not an English debate, for we have been informed that even the French can be right from time to time. In essence, ladies and gentlemen, and in conformity with Cicero's teachings, the speakers are asked to prove, to please, and to persuade. Lastly, allow me to remind you that, beautiful and charismatic as the speakers may be, this is not a television. This is a house, and you are its members. And it is therefore your privileged duty to interact with the speakers and give this debate the life that it so well deserves. If you agree with what a speaker is saying, show your support with a heartfelt "Hear, hear." If, however, you are outraged by a statement, let the speaker know with a bellowing "Shame." In the words of Speaker John Bercow, that is a lot of very noisy barracking. But enough of me and enough of us. Now that you have been properly warmed up, I see that you shiver with anticipation. You have come for action, and we shall oblige. Let us open the arena to our oratorical gladiators. Let us move to the motion at hand. The winds of anarchy are blowing tonight as we debate "This House believes that fools run the show." It is with great pleasure that I call upon the first speaker for the proposition